The Dominion stretched across the edge of known space like a wall of darkness. No star shone beyond its border, no signal returned once it was crossed. For centuries, every species in the galaxy had spoken its name in whispers. To enter it was madness. To survive it was impossible. But humanity was never known for obedience to fear. On the command bridge of the TSS Vanguard, Admiral Kyle stood before the vast viewing window. The Dominion shimmered ahead, a curtain of blue and black clouds swirling like a living storm. His reflection in the glass showed calm eyes, the kind that had seen too many wars and too many victories. Behind him, the crew worked in silence. Even the air felt heavy, as if the void itself waited for their first move. "Sir, last chance to abort," said Lieutenant Aaron, his voice steady but low. "No one has ever come back from that place." Kyle turned slowly, his expression unreadable. "Then it is time someone did." A low murmur moved through the crew. The engines thrummed beneath their feet. Outside, 1,000 ships from the Terran Expeditionary Fleet waited in perfect formation, their silver hulls gleaming against the black. Every soldier, every pilot, every engineer aboard those vessels knew they were about to do what the galaxy had feared for centuries. The Dominion was not just a region, it was a mystery written in death. Explorers from the Varnak Empire had vanished there. Even the machine races of the Hellas Collective refused to map it. The story said it was a place where physics bent, where time dissolved, and where minds broke under unseen pressure. Yet, as the countdown began, no human turned back. "Fleet ready." "Admiral," Aaron reported. "All systems green. No signal interference." Yet Kyle gave a single nod. "On my mark. Engage jump drives and keep formation. If we lose each other, follow the light." Aaron hesitated. "Whose light, sir?" Kyle's eyes fixed on the swirling abyss ahead. "Ours." The bridge fell silent. Then Kyle raised his hand. "Execute." The engines roared to life, a thunder that shook every hull. In unison, the Terran ships surged forward. Blue light streaked across the void as they crossed the invisible border of the Dominion. Space itself seemed to ripple, as though the universe was resisting their entry. The moment they passed through, everything changed. The stars vanished. Every sensor flickered to static. The navigation system screamed in confusion, spinning readings that made no sense. Outside the viewport, waves of light pulsed in slow motion, like the deep breath of a sleeping giant. "Status," Kyle demanded. "System stable," Aaron replied, though his voice trembled now. "But readings are..." "Wrong, sir. Space density is fluctuating. It's like we're inside something alive." Kyle did not respond. His gaze stayed fixed ahead, watching the lights twist and form shapes that almost resembled faces. For a brief second, he felt a whisper in the back of his mind. A voice, not words, but intent. It felt ancient, cold, curious. The Dominion knew they were here. Across the fleet, tension spread like static. Some whispered prayers. Others gripped their consoles until their knuckles went white. But no one spoke of turning back. They had come too far, and humanity's pride would not allow retreat. Then the comms crackled. "Admiral, we're picking up signals," said the communications officer. "They're not from us." Kyle leaned forward. "Origin?" "Everywhere, sir." "Surrounding us!" The sound came through the speakers, low, harmonic tones that shifted pitch like a song played backward. It wasn't mechanical. It was something else, something that felt aware. The bridge lights dimmed as the power system strained. Then, without warning, something appeared. Outside the ship, a shape emerged from the mists, massive, luminous, and shifting like liquid glass. It moved closer until it filled the viewport. It had no face, no mouth, yet every mind on the bridge heard its voice. "You cross the Dominion. None return." Kyle stepped closer to the glass. His reflection overlapped the creature's light. "Then you have never met us," the being paused. Its glow flickered like surprise. "You carry defiance. You carry flame. Why?" Kyle smiled faintly. "Because fear built our world. We learned to walk through it." For a moment the ship's crew could not breathe. Then the being faded back into the mist. The pressure in the air lifted. The stars outside shifted again, But this time, they saw faint glimmers of light ahead. Course cleared, Aaron said in disbelief. It's opening a path. Kyle turned toward his crew. Then we follow it. Humanity doesn't stop at closed doors. The Vanguard moved forward, followed by the rest of the fleet. Each ship glided deeper into the heart of the Dominion, their lights piercing a darkness that no one else had dared to face. From distant worlds, hidden observers watched in silence. The galactic councils that had once mocked humanity's courage now sat in awe. They entered the Dominion, whispered one alien leader. And they are still moving. As the last Terran ship vanished into the shadows, the stars themselves seemed to dim, as if holding their breath. For the first time in history, something unstoppable had entered the Dominion, and it was human. The deeper the fleet went, the quieter the universe became. Sound faded inside the ships, as if the air itself was listening. The Dominion was not just empty space. It was an ocean without light. A place that seemed to swallow time and echo thoughts that were never spoken. Admiral Kyle stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, his eyes fixed on the shifting horizon. The mist outside pulsed in slow waves, reflecting faint blue light against the hull. It looked almost peaceful, but every heartbeat carried an edge of tension. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Arin, scanning the monitors. No readings again. "The instruments can't decide if we're moving or standing still." Kale glanced at the main screen. Their coordinates kept changing every second, cycling through numbers that made no sense. "We are moving," he said quietly, "but not in a way our senses understand." A silence followed. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Some stared at the window, half expecting something to appear again. The Dominion had already shown it was aware of them. Now it was waiting hours or maybe days past. No one could tell anymore. Then a faint pulse rippled through the black like a heartbeat. The lights across the fleet flickered. Every system trembled for a second and then went dark. The entire ship drifted into stillness. "Power down," Aaron whispered. "Everything's off." Kale looked calm, but inside he felt the weight of the unknown pressing closer. The Dominion had taken control. He turned toward the communications officer. "Try to send a message to the nearest ship," the officer tried. The console sparked. A deep hum filled the air, followed by a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "You entered the heart of what you do not understand," it said. "Why?" The crew froze. The voice was not human, not mechanical. It carried weight like the echo of an ancient god. Kyle stepped forward. "Because curiosity is our nature. We go where others fear." The voice pulsed with light, its tone neither angry nor kind. "Your kind is fragile, yet you defy." Kyle's expression did not change. "Fragile things break when struck. We bend, we adapt, we survive." For a moment the silence returned. Then something moved in the dark outside. The mist parted, revealing a massive structure, an impossible shape of black metal and blue light, stretching for miles. It wasn't built by hands. It had grown. "That's not a station," Aaron whispered. "It's alive." The ship's scanners flickered to life, trying to read the object. "Material unknown," said the science officer. "It's reacting to our presence." Kyle stared at it. "Bring us closer." The crew hesitated. "Sir, that's not safe." He raised his hand. "Nothing here is safe. But everything here is a chance to learn." As they approached, the object began to hum with a deep tone that vibrated through every wall. The crew covered their ears, but Kale stood still, letting the sound wash over him. Suddenly the ship's systems came back online, flooding the bridge with light. Every screen displayed one word: welcome. The Dominion was not rejecting them anymore. It was opening itself. Aaron's eyes widened. "It knows we're not enemies. Or it knows we're interesting," Kale replied. "Either way, we keep moving." The fleet followed the Vanguard, threading through glowing corridors of mist and energy. The massive living structure pulsed with light as they passed. On some ships, crew members reported seeing visions, cities of light, shadows of creatures older than stars, memories that didn't belong to them. The Dominion wasn't just a place. It was a memory of something ancient. Kyle stood at the center of the bridge as data streamed across the monitors. "Record everything," he ordered, "even the things that make no sense." especially those. Suddenly alarms blared. The path ahead began to close, the mist twisting into a storm. Energy spikes overloaded the shields. Every ship shook. "Admiral, something's forming ahead." Aaron shouted. The screen filled with blinding white light. Then it took shape. A colossal figure made of pure energy, like the one they had seen before but larger, infinite in scale. Its eyes burned with blue fire. "You were warned," the voice thundered again. "This realm tests truth. Your strength will be measured." Kale didn't move. "Then measure us," he said coldly. "We did not come to kneel." The being raised its hands, and the light around it pulsed. The fleet shuddered as energy waves hit them, each one like a hammer. Hulls groaned. Power cores flared. Yet no ship turned away, Aaron shouted over the noise. "We can't hold this, sir." "Shields failing!" Kyle gripped the command rail. "Hold the line!" Humanity didn't come this far to die politely. The bridge filled with red light. Sparks flew from consoles. But something strange began to happen. The more the Dominion pushed, the more the humans resisted. Their systems adapted, absorbing the energy instead of breaking. The being's voice wavered. "Impossible. No species endures this storm." Kyle stared into the light. "Then learn something new." And just like that, the storm stopped. The lights dimmed. The silence returned. The massive figure dissolved into mist, leaving behind a single calm pulse of blue light that spread across the entire fleet. It was not anger, it was recognition. Aaron looked around, breathing hard. "What just happened?" Kyle turned toward the crew, his voice steady. "The Dominion tested us, and found something it had never seen." Outside the ship, the mist began to part, revealing what looked like a pathway of light leading deeper into the unknown. The fleet followed, slow and steady. For the first time since entering, the humans realized something astonishing. The Dominion was no longer silent. It was listening, and somewhere in that silence it whispered, "Continue." The light path stretched endlessly ahead, twisting like a river made of energy. The Terran fleet moved in silence, each ship glowing faintly as if wrapped in invisible flame. The Dominion no longer attacked, but it watched. Every pulse of light felt like an eye. Every vibration through the hull was like a heartbeat that was not their own. Admiral Kale stood at the command deck of the Vanguard. His hands rested on the steel railing, his gaze locked on the path ahead. His face was calm, but his mind was sharp, restless. He knew the Dominion was not finished. Every test so far had been about fear and endurance. The next one would be about something deeper. "Admiral," Lieutenant Aaron said quietly, breaking the silence. "All ships report full operational status, but crew morale is unstable. Some are hearing whispers again." Kell nodded slowly. "Let them whisper. The mind breaks easier when it feels alone. Remind every captain that we stand together always." Aaron hesitated before speaking again. "So what if this place isn't trying to destroy us? What if it's learning?" Kyle turned toward him, expression unreadable. "Then we'll teach it what humanity means." The bridge fell silent again as the Vanguard continued forward. Hours passed. The path began to change color, from blue to deep crimson. The energy waves grew denser, pressing against the ships like invisible pressure. Then suddenly everything stopped. Space folded in on itself. The Dominion shifted. Every monitor went dark. Every sound vanished. Even gravity ceased. The crew floated in frozen stillness, their eyes wide. They were trapped inside a moment that refused to move forward. Then one by one, they saw it. The bridge melted away into something else. A vision, real yet unreal. Kale stood alone in a vast plain under a black sky. The ground was covered in shattered mirrors that reflected countless faces, his own, his crew's, and others he didn't recognize. He heard their voices overlapping, whispering fragments of memories and pain. The Dominion was no longer testing machines. It was testing the soul. A figure formed before him, shaped like a man, but made of light and shadow. Its voice echoed through the air. "Humanity fears the unknown, yet it runs toward it. Why?" Kyle breathed deeply, his tone calm. "Because we cannot stop searching. Fear exists to remind us what courage feels like. The figure tilted its head. Courage is a dream. Dreams fade. Kale looked around the mirror field. Each reflection showed moments of Earth's past, wars, ruins, tears, and fire. Maybe dreams fade, he said, but we build new ones. The figure's light flickered. You burn everything you touch. Why should creation respect you? Kyle's eyes narrowed. Because we rebuild. Because destruction never stopped us. That is who we are. The ground trembled. The reflections shifted, now showing faces of his crew, screaming, breaking, falling into the dark. Kyle heard Aaron's voice calling his name somewhere in the distance, but he stood firm. You will lose them, the being said. You will be forgotten here. Kyle's voice grew low but steady. If we are forgotten, then remember this. You tried to break us and we refused. The field shattered like glass. The world folded back. Kyle gasped as he returned to the bridge. Lights flared to life, alarms blared, and the ship's systems screamed warnings. The crew was on the floor, breathing heavily, as if waking from a nightmare. Status! Kale barked. Aaron stumbled to his console. We're back, I think. But something's changed, sir. Our energy levels, they're rising, Kyle frowned. Explain. The Dominion's energy signature, it's merging with ours. Our shields, our core systems. They're adapting. Outside, the entire fleet glowed brighter. The Dominion had tested their spirit, and their defiance had changed them. But the test was not over yet. The main screen flashed red. A massive structure was forming ahead. A sphere of light the size of a planet, pulsing like a heart. Waves of force rolled outward, shaking space itself. That's the source, Aaron whispered. The heart of the Dominion. Kyle stared at it, then said softly, set course straight ahead. Sir, the energy readings, I know. Set course anyway. The fleet adjusted formation, their drives igniting as one. The Vanguard led the charge, slicing through storms of light that bent and twisted reality. Beams of energy lashed out, striking shields and shaking hulls. One ship spun out of formation, its engines failing. Kale grabbed the comms. Hold the line! No one falls behind! He could hear the chaos, the screams, the fear, but also the determination. Humanity had faced gods, monsters, and the void itself. They would face this too. As the fleet drew closer, the heart opened like a blooming star. Her voice filled every mind again, louder than before, deeper than space. Enough. You cannot take what is not yours. Kale's reply was almost a whisper. We take nothing. We only prove that fear cannot own us. The heart pulsed once more, unleashing a final shockwave. Every system went dark again. The fleet vanished into light, then silence. Moments, or maybe lifetimes passed, before the lights returned. The Dominion was gone. The stars reappeared. The ships drifted in calm space, engines offline but intact. Aaron blinked at the readings. Sir, we're outside the Dominion. Kale looked out the viewport. The darkness had ended. But the stars, they looked different now, sharper, brighter, as if the universe itself had shifted. He took a deep breath. We made it through. Aaron smiled faintly. You think it's over? Kale's gaze stayed on the stars. No, the real test has just begun. The galaxy saw what we did. They will never see us the same again. Outside, the last ripple of the Dominion faded into the void. But its voice lingered faintly across the comms, a whisper only Kale could hear. Humanity endures. The Dominion was silent. No storms, no echoes, no shifting lights. The human fleet floated in open space, surrounded by a calm so deep it felt unnatural. For the first time in weeks, the stars were visible again, billions of them scattered like dust across a black canvas. On the Vanguard, Admiral Kale stood before the massive observation window. His reflection merged with the starlight as he stared at the horizon. The crew behind him worked quietly, their voices hushed. Everyone felt it, the strange weight of victory, the disbelief that they were still alive. Sir, Lieutenant Aaron said softly, we've confirmed the readings. We're outside the Dominion. Every ship made it through. Kyle nodded slowly. All of them? Yes, Admiral, damaged, but none lost. Kale's grip tightened behind his back. Then the galaxy just witnessed something it will never forget. Outside the viewport, the last traces of the Dominion shimmered faintly, like smoke dissolving in sunlight. Yet something about it felt different now. It was not hostile anymore, it was aware, watching. The fleet's communication network came alive with signals from across the galaxy. Dozens of races, the Valari, the Threx, the Hellis Collective, were broadcasting their astonishment. Their messages flooded the Terran channels, filled with disbelief and fear. They did it. They crossed and survived. Humanity entered the Dominion and returned. The rumors spread faster than light. Empires that had once mocked Earth now spoke its name with reverence. Kyle turned to the communications officer. "Open a wideband transmission. I want every system to hear this." The officer nodded. "Ready, sir." Kyle stepped forward. His voice was steady, but there was steel behind every word. "This is Admiral Kale of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We entered the Dominion to face what others feared. We did not bow. We did not break. We stand here as proof that courage is not madness, it is survival." He paused, letting the silence after his words travel across the stars. "To every world that doubted us, remember this day. Humanity walks where fear begins, and fear ends where we stand." The broadcast ended. The bridge was silent again. The crew stared at him not with awe but with pride. For the first time, they felt the weight of history pressing on their shoulders. Aaron smiled faintly. "The galaxy will never look at us the same way again." Kyle looked back at the stars. "Good, they shouldn't." Moments later, the Dominion pulsed once more. A soft wave of light rippled outward from its core, passing through the fleet like a whisper. The sensors caught it, a faint message encoded in energy. "It's a transmission," Aaron said, adjusting the filters. "But it's not coming from any ship." "Play it," Kyle said. The bridge filled with a deep, resonant voice. The same one they had heard before, but softer now, almost reverent. "Humanity crossed the threshold. The test is complete. You are seen," and then it faded into silence. The crew exchanged stunned looks. For the Dominion, something that had existed before stars, to acknowledge them was beyond belief. Kyle looked toward the dark horizon, where the Dominion's edge still shimmered faintly. "It was never about destruction," he said quietly. "It was about understanding." Aaron frowned. "Understanding what?" Kale turned to him. "That even the oldest powers in the universe still need to be reminded what courage looks like." The fleet began its slow journey home. Every ship bore scars from the crossing, but those scars told a story that no one else could claim. Humanity had stared into the heart of fear and found something greater, clarity. Days later, when the fleet emerged near Earth's orbit, the entire planet erupted in celebration. Lights danced across continents. Signals from every colony filled the skies. Humanity had entered a place where gods might hesitate, and returned. From the orbital stations, Kyle watched the blue sphere below, glowing softly under the sun. He thought of how far they had come. From caves and stone tools to walking among stars that once ignored them. Aaron approached him quietly. "You think the Dominion will ever open again?" Kyle smiled faintly. "Maybe, when it finds another species brave enough to knock." Aaron looked down at Earth, his voice thoughtful. "We didn't just survive it, sir. We changed it." Kyle nodded slowly. "And it changed us." He turned back to the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond that quiet border, the Dominion still pulsed faintly, a living reminder that even the universe could feel curiosity. Perhaps it now watched humanity not as intruders, but as equals. Kyle whispered under his breath. "When we entered, even the stars held their breath. Now they know why." He raised his head, eyes shining with reflection and resolve. "Prepare the report, Lieutenant." "History deserves to remember every second." Aaron nodded and stepped away, leaving the Admiral alone by the window. Outside, the fleet formed in perfect alignment, 1,000 lights shining across the darkness, their formation reflecting Earth's constellation patterns, as if the heavens themselves were bowing back. Gale looked at the infinite black beyond and smiled. "We stepped into the Dominion," he said softly, "and we came back as more than explorers. We came back as proof that even the universe must make room for humanity." The stars seemed to shimmer brighter, their glow like applause echoing across eternity. And somewhere, far beyond what eyes could see, the Dominion whispered one last time, "Welcome, travelers of courage."